Hey everybody, and happy Monday. Your reading story this week is Elisa's Diary. I'm going to go over the vocabulary words for the week with you. As always, you will have a vocabulary quiz at the end of the week. Go ahead and take out a piece of paper and a pencil so that you can write down both the definition as well as the word used in a sentence. You're going to keep that with you so that you can study for Friday's quiz. I will stop after every word and definition and sentence so that you have time to write it all down. Let's get started. Your first word is opponents. An opponent is someone who competes against or fights another in a contest, game, or argument. So if you play sports, that person that plays on the other team, those are your opponents. We also use the word rival to describe our opponents, somebody we are competing against. An example of the word in a sentence is we defeated our opponents in our football game last Saturday. Go ahead and take the time to write this down. All right, guys, if you are still writing, go ahead and hit the pause button because we're going to move on to the next vocabulary word. Your next word is brutal. Brutal. Cruel, harsh, unpleasant. So if somebody is being brutal, they're being cruel, harsh, or unpleasant. An example of the word in a sentence is that slaves sometimes faced brutal punishment. So they faced really harsh, cruel, unpleasant punishments. Go ahead and take the time to write this down. All right, guys, if you are still writing, go ahead and hit the pause button because we are moving on to the next vocabulary word. Your next word is supposedly. Supposedly. That word means according to what is or was said, claimed, or believed by some. So believed by some. An example is Sarah told me a crazy story yesterday, but supposedly it actually happened. So according to what she said, it actually happened, no matter how crazy the story was. Go ahead and write all of this down, guys. All right, if you're still writing, hit the pause button. We're moving on. Your next word is gorgeous. gorgeous. Somebody is gorgeous, they're splendid, showy, magnificent. An example of that word in a sentence is that peacock has gorgeous feathers. That peacock has magnificent feathers. And I'm sure you've heard the word gorgeous before. Let's go ahead and write that all down. All right, guys, hit the pause button if you're still writing. Otherwise, follow me to the next word. Your next vocabulary word is embarrassed. I'm sure we've all felt embarrassed before at one point or another. If you are embarrassed, you are feeling or showing a state of confusion. You're also feeling self-conscious. You're feeling like down on yourself. You're not feeling top-notch. An example is after tripping in front of my classmates, I felt embarrassed. That has actually happened to me before. Go ahead and write this down, guys. All right, if you're still writing, you know the drill. Pause it. Otherwise, moving on. Your next vocabulary word is obvious. What's obvious? I know we have heard that word before. If something is obvious, it is easily discovered, seen, or understood. If we wanted to use that word in a sentence, we might say, the answer to question number 3 is in the book. It should be obvious, meaning it shouldn't be hard to find the answer to question number 3 in the book. Go ahead and write this down. All right, pause if you're still writing, otherwise, moving on. And our 7th vocabulary word is typically. What in the world does typically mean? Typically means conforming to a type. It also means usual or normal. So if something is typical, it's really not out of the ordinary. It's pretty normal. It was a typical Sunday for us, so a normal Sunday for us. We did the same thing we do every other Sunday. So in this case, the example, it was completely a usual Sunday. Nothing crazy happened. Took a cat nap, maybe. Haha. Go ahead and write this down. All right, pause if you need to. The next word is preliminary. Now, this might be a new word for you, preliminary. If something is preliminary, it means it comes before, it's coming before. An example, to get into the finals, the runner had to place in the top 3 of the preliminary race. So you can't get in the finals unless you do well in the race before. That's what preliminary means. Preliminary happens in the beginning. All right, guys, pause if you're still writing. Moving on. All right, guys, your next word is sweeping. Sweeping. Moving in or as if in a long curve. So if somebody makes a sweeping motion. An example of this in a sentence is the speaker gave a sweeping gesture to her audience as she thanked them for coming. Go ahead and write this down. Pause this video if you need to, but we are going to move on to the next word. Last vocabulary word, and it is a word you've probably heard before, officially. Officially. Officially means in a formal and public way. So it's official, it's formal and public. An example of this in a sentence is the judges officially declared which students won the science fair. So the results were tallied and the results were formal and official. They weren't changing. Go ahead and write this down. All right, guys, if you have not finished writing this down, just go ahead and hit the pause button. Otherwise, I'm sure you did an awesome job writing your vocabulary words today. I'm sure you took good little notes because you will need those, remember, for the quiz or the test that is on Friday on these vocabulary words. If you have any questions about anything, be sure to send your teacher a message. I would stick these notes in your Avid binder in your reading folder so you know that you don't lose them. Have an awesome day, guys.